Sometimes you have an idea and it just doesn't work out, which is what happened when I tried to beat Minecraft by only going down. The thought process was every new Y value is my new maximum. So no jumping, no stairs, no swimming up. I thought this would be such a cool challenge. I would go into the new snapshots to get the caves and cliffs, update world generation, which changes the ore distribution, the caves entirely. It let me like experience it in a new way, and I did it, but it just feels like a waste of time at the end of the day. And I honestly don't know if this video is worth watching, but I'm making it regardless because I'm in this deep and might as well keep going, you know? The idea was that you'd load into a new world, hopefully start somewhere, you know, pretty decent. I would find myself somewhere in the 60 to 72 range. Water would be somewhere right about like 64, I think. And the idea was you'd go around, get as much as possible, maybe get some villagers, and once you're ready, go to the nether and try to do all that without dropping below the water level, because under this rule set, if you go below the water level, you're basically never going to be exploring again unless you go even farther and then just dig everywhere, which is what ended up happening. So rather than going through it step by step, I'm just going to talk about some of the broad strokes because I do not want to edit through 42 hours worth of footage and then another like I think 4 hours of footage I have from my previous attempts, where in one of them I had such an incredible spawn. I saw a village, I opened chests, and I got obsidian, and I was actually ready to go to the nether within an hour of starting. But the problem was I had no way to light it, and rather than be safe and use the nearby lava, I decided for some reason that I would suffocate the golem to get a piece of iron to make a flint and tinder. And that didn't work out at all, and I just lost that progress. And honestly, that one mistake probably wasted me an entire week of my life. But yeah, in attempt number 6, I saw this village. I thought, okay, cool. I'll go there and get the essentials like food, wheat, knowledge, pumpkins, brewing, prison villagers, sugarcane, cows. I was making my own little Noah's Ark, but clearly I missed out on some chickens, sheep, all kinds of things, but that's what I did. And the thing is, I dug down something like 50 blocks and then made my base. But the whole time, that's 50 blocks worth of world that I just never explored. I easily could have explored, but I just didn't. So I got down there and I started making my base, and I thought to myself, this is going to be great. I have the villagers for a trading hall. I have sugarcane so I can make paper. I have cows so I can get leather to make books. With the underground base constructed and the possibility of diamonds on the horizon, reaching the nether was the next milestone that I had in front of me. To do that, I simply needed to find enough lava/obsidian to make a portal. Here is a quick list of some of the things I achieved before I got to the nether. I got a full set of iron armor, I found some diamonds, I found some redstone, I found a geode and made a spyglass, I trained a master rank librarian, I trained a master rank toolsmith, a master rank fletcher, a master rank cleric. You get the idea. Around 13 hours into this challenge, having filled a total of 4 buckets with lava, I finally found an actual pool of lava. The only issue is that it was too far down to grab. At some point I went back and tried, but even going prone using a trapdoor did not extend my reach far enough. By now, I had the subtitles turned on so that I could be notified the moment a single lava plopped in my vicinity, but my luck was just awful. I dug hundreds of blocks to the west, north, and east of my base and some to the south, and still nothing. I considered digging down a few blocks to reach that pool of lava, but that would mean having to dig all those blocks every step of the way back to my base. In hindsight, I should have done that. Well, actually, in hindsight, I probably should have not done this whole thing at all, but yeah. I continued to level my villagers and mine farther and farther from where I started, until eventually I had enough. I knew that I had to go deeper, but not too far as to go below the eventual end portal's level, so I dug 20 blocks down to -5. Again, I made a mistake, a classic blunder. I didn't backtrack to collect that lava from the pool I knew existed to the east of my base. I thought, well, this is clearly deep enough, I'll find lava in no time. Totally unrelated, here is the dictionary definition of the word regret. We're only partway through my playthrough, but I've already made a bunch of mistakes, but I want to make it clear that I was feeling pretty stressed. Under my rules, if at any point I slipped up and fell a single block, I would have to mine out hundreds of blocks just to return to my base. If I fell even 10 blocks, I would likely never touch my base again, so I was careful, very careful. I mined out thousands of blocks while watching for the sound of lava, and whenever there was a possibility of falling, I held on to that shift key with all that I could. It resulted in hours upon hours of tedious, mind-numbing gameplay that also featured moment-to-moment danger and anxiety, so I was constantly on edge. To say that this challenge was emotionally and mentally draining would be an understatement. Even after using 4 of my lava to make an enchanting table, I eventually gathered enough lava to craft a nether portal. At long last, I entered the realm of fire, and I was actually pretty lucky because I spawned right next to a nether fortress. Unfortunately, I was far below the fortress, so I couldn't access any of its potential chests or nether warts, but that said, it doesn't really matter because the fortress had some blaze spawners that were close enough to occasionally spawn one. It was a bit weird as to when it would actually spawn a floating fireboy, but it did sometimes. After a bit, I realized that I could use a fishing rod to yank the blazes away from their platforms, which would then force them to float down to my level. As such, blaze powder was within reach, which means now I simply needed to locate and reach the stronghold. To do that, I wanted to make more nether portals for quicker overworld travel. Unfortunately, there was 2 different issues with that. Firstly, I couldn't find much lava in the nether within reach. It sounds weird, but yeah, I couldn't find any pools of lava because apparently all of the lava generated at the bottom of the nether. It seems the nether's buggy generation in the experimental snapshots was a known issue, but not to me until later on. I did find the occasional block of lava, but it was rare enough that I decided to focus on finding some dripstone. If you don't know, dripstone lets you fill cauldrons with a single source block of water or lava, which means I could farm lava. Many hours into my playthrough, I mined through a small sliver that registered as dripstone cave biome, and then with some careful mining and pathing over a huge expanse, the dripstone was mine. More time passed and I expanded my lava drip farm until I was ready to make another nether portal. This is where that second issue with nether portals came to light. That portal sent me to y equals 77. I knew nether portals were unreliable at the best of times, but this was something else. I immediately dropped everything and I put together a quick video that I think I've now unlisted, where I explained the occurrence, asking for viewers' feedback on how to proceed. Most thought I should just roll with it, treating it like some kind of unexpected boon. For whatever reason, I felt like it was wrong to me. I didn't want to sacrifice the integrity of this challenge that I came up with and I'm deciding to continue with. As such, I eventually decided to use the nether portals as little as possible until that rule fell apart along with everything else down the road. Now, normally getting to the stronghold is a simple task in that you use the Eye of Ender and then you see where they're going. You go a ways, you check it again, and with just 2 data points, you can actually go into a stronghold finder calculator and figure out exactly where it is. But 1, I didn't know that, so I had improper / no data at all a couple times, and 2, more than once, I was forced to use the Eye of Ender underground. And when using the Eye of Ender underground, it just flies off, oftentimes into solid rock, and then you can't recover it and you can't see where it's at its apex, so it's not very helpful for trying to calculate it out. So it was a whole mess, and I ended up having to dig because I could not rely on the nether portal getting me to where I wanted to be at my -5y value. But I took many observation points, I kept digging, and eventually I did find the stronghold, and I was actually partway into the library, and I was so happy. I felt like I was finally there. I was hesitant to, take the plunge, but eventually I had made a ender chest. I packed it up with all kinds of blocks and materials and everything, and I just set out. I was ready to go. I explored and I explored and I dug through all of the floors of the stronghold. I kept going and eventually I got down to, I think, -25. And eventually it was clear that I was running out of stronghold, so I decided to make another portal, which meant I could get back to my base. And I think this is where I sort of said, yeah, I failed to do what I wanted to do because I used another portal intentionally to gain Y value, if that makes sense. But I eventually super gave up, and I dug from the nether portal that was around 33, and I dug, and the portal room was like 10 blocks higher than my base. So if I'd never moved, I technically could have still gotten there. Nothing broken, nothing cheated, but yeah. You know those known issues I mentioned earlier with how the nether generation was messed up? Turns out the end generation was messed up. There's no end crystal pillars. I only realized that in game after giving up and using an ender pearl to teleport to the island surface, so at that point, whether or not I actually did, I felt like I cheated the challenge. So yeah, I beat the ender dragon, but that's not saying much when there's no end crystals to deal with. So yeah, I won, but did I? But I knew I could take solace in the fact that through all my trials, through my 50-something hours of gameplay recorded, I knew I could at least be happy that I completed the world's weirdest no-jump challenge until I realized, oh, no, there's jumps on my record. I did not jump, but turns out there is a glitch in that if you're moving through a water source block and you rub up against a corner, it makes your character jump, and it counts as a jump in the statistics, and I recreated that. So yeah, I can't even say that I did it without jumping, because according to the game, I jumped even though I didn't, and this whole thing was a mistake. But yeah, I think that's about all I have to say for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Big thanks to my channel members for their support, and an even bigger thanks to Pseudonymous, Achilles Rhodes, and Captain Crayfish for being super fans. If you enjoyed this video, that's great to hear. I have other Minecraft videos, as well as other videos you can watch. Yeah, that's about it. I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.